hustles. You need to learn how to make more money. Step number one is to make more money. And you do that with your job, but you also do it with a side hustle, a small business that you can do on the side. You need to learn how to make more money because in step five, you're spending too much. Why are you spending too much? Is well, because the governments of the world can't balance their budget, so they just print more money. So inflation is hurting people, and it's really hurting the people who need the most help. So we need to teach you how to make more money. You do that with a side hustle. We need a small business on the side, but we need to make it so that it makes money, that it just doesn't waste your time. Now, step number 6 is to do multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income is we're going to take this little business and make it into a bigger business. We're going to do multiple businesses that we can start, and we can have other people work with us and make them work, where we're not just getting a second job, we're actually getting a business off the ground. And real estate, that's a biggie. All of you have to have a place to live. Let's figure out how to make some money doing it. At least getting the house paid off faster is the worst case scenario. But if we can also do it where we can make more money, that's a biggie. So we got Kurt in the house with us today. We're going to be talking about side hustles. Okay, Kurt, take it away.
All right, success and money, people. Let's talk about it. Side hustle secrets, mindset, core competence, presentation skills. We're going to focus on persuasion and influence, a critical skill to get others to want to do what you want them to do and like doing it. That's the key. That's what we're focusing on. Let's go to it. Let's talk about the law of scarcity, also known as urgency, the takeaway, psychological reactance to get people to beg you to do business with them. How can you do this in a way that people feel this urgency to do business with you? Now, this law of persuasion is abused, overused, but you still need to use it. I mean, really, how often can a furniture store go out of business? I mean, really, okay? Or those after Thanksgiving sales where people are just crazy and hitting each other and trying to get in line to get what they might miss out on. That is urgency. That is the key. I remember I was going to buy a car once and they're like, oh, I was making a deal, working through it. Like, someone's coming at 7 o'clock to look at this car. I'm like, all right, whatever. Persuade her. I'll come back tomorrow and we'll seal the deal. And I came back and it was gone. So it's been abused and overused, but still, you need to use it when people create that urgency to do business with you. So what is this urgency? When you're restricting availability of product, service, time, or information. When you say, oh, I'm available anytime versus I've got 2 slots available next week. Setting limitations on an item to pique an audience interest. Hey, I'm not sure if you qualify for this committee. The less there is of an item, real or perceived, the more it increases in value, which leads to the urge to have it. See, that's the key, creating that urgency, a reason to make a decision. That is so important for you. eBay drives me nuts, right? You've been on eBay before, you're like, maybe, all right, I'll bid on it, and then somebody, right? Somebody outbids you's taking it away, and you want it more. That's just how human nature works. In fact, winning $100 does not have the psychological impact as losing $100. In fact, it's 3x. When you lose out, you miss out, you can't get it, you're not there, you didn't make the decision, you didn't do it. That's 3x over $100 versus losing $100. That is the key. That's psychological reactance. That's what you need to do in a real, legitimate, believable way. So let's talk about it. Potential loss versus potential gain. That's just how the brain works. That FOMO, the fear of missing out, can drive people crazy. We got to be very, very careful of that. We got to switch it up. Think about banks. How do banks make money? They loan money. That's how they make money. But when you're there, you have to qualify. It's like, oh, what about this? Are you doing this? You have to convince them, persuade them that you're worthy enough for a loan, even though they need to give you that loan to stay in business. That's what banks do, and you can do some of the same type of things. How can you create urgency, scarcity in a legitimate, believable way where people want to do business with you? Because things are more valuable when they're scarce and less available. Again, even yourself. Well, I'm wide open next week versus no, I've got 2 slots available. Hey, I'm getting ready to coach, but I only have 1 slot available. It's now open for you. Scarce and less available. That's the key when you're working with people, is make it scarce and less available. People want it more. Think about when you're shopping, right? And supermarkets do this, and retail does this too, to where there's only 1 shirt in your size, in your color. There's more in the back, but if there's only 1 in your size, in your color, you want it more. So scarcity drives us to action. It drives us wild. It drives us crazy. Whether it be your physical product, your time, your information, price, knowledge, that is what people are looking for. Scarcity, urgency. Again, it's been abused. It's overused. Last one left on your side. Sale ends today. Again, those furniture stores that go out of business every couple of months. All right, cheesy, overused. We know that, but we still need urgency. Oh, I'll make a decision whenever. If I have 6 months to make a decision, I'll take 6 months. But if there's urgency, a reason to make a decision, have that scarcity. That is the key to this principle. That's why we look at scarcity in marketing. How do you create the demand, create the allure, create that psychological reactance? How do you do that, right? Those country clubs that have that waiting list to see if you qualify. Those high-end clubs that, there's a line to get in. There's plenty of room inside, but there's a line to get in. There's a reason for that, to create that allure, that demand. That is critical when you talk about scarcity and urgency, is that people will want it more. You take it away, it's not available, limited amount, people want it more. What do shoe stores do? Last one left in your size. Limit 4, right? You see this at grocery stores all the time. Limit 4, limit 10, limit 20. I was going to the grocery store to get some ice cream. Have some visitors coming over. My wife sent me there. And all right, so I went. And the ice cream was limit 4. So I bought 4. She's like, why did you buy 4? I'm like, limit 4. What do? There's a limit there. They don't care if you buy 5 or maybe 3 or 6. Limit 4, there's a limit. We want it more. What happens in real estate, right? If you're selling your house, and you don't want to say, okay, you show up at 3, you show up at 4, you show up at 5. No, everyone shows up at the same time. There's urgency, there's scarcity, there's social validation too, to where everyone's looking around, other people looking at, other people want it, they want it more. Home shopping network, right? What do? They're like, oh, I'll do it later. You're watching it, it's late at night. No. What do they say? Hey, not available in stores. Urgency. They have a countdown clock. Urgency. Limited quantity. Urgency. There's a reason they do that. So when people say limited supply or sale ends today, that creates urgency. That is so important for you to be able to do that, because if I can make a decision later, I'll put it off. You have to create a real, believable, legitimate reason to do it today. Who is the master of scarcity? Disney. They come out with these DVD, these videos. Last time this decade, last time this century, they bring them out. They have their online services. This is the only place you can see that certain Disney movie. Scarcity, urgency, they do it on purpose. There's the antique stores, right? You notice antique stores tend to be messy and cluttered. Why? It's a treasure hunt. But hey, last one, only one. Get it, make it happen. That happens in antique stores. Another one, the going out of business sales, right? You're like, oh no, and there's a lot of scarcity, urgency. So not only are they going out of business, it's your last chance, it's your last shot. You walk through, sold, and half the stuff's already sold. That increases your urgency. One of my favorite ones, grew up in Orange County, California. This is what happened. It was a drought, right? Running out of water. One of the pumps what was not working quite right, and they had to replace the pump. And so, drought, pump's not working, lack of water. The mayor comes on and says, "Hey, peeps, look, let's restrict the water. Let's do it on your own. There's going to be some challenges here." And what happened? Water consumption went off the charts. They got to fill up their pool and water their lawn just in case as this happens, because there wasn't enough. People wanted it more. The studies tell us the same thing, right? You take children, toddlers, you put them in a room with 20 toys, all right? And there's one, all right, don't play with this one, play with the other 19, don't play with this one, play with the other 19. Kids, human nature, they want to play with the one. They approach the one they're not supposed to 3 times faster. That's scarcity, that is urgency. I mean, look at Adam and Eve and Romeo and Juliet, right? You can't have it. People want it more. So how can you apply this in your business with your product, your service, your idea? In fact, another interesting study is they had these cookies, right? Nice cookies. Everyone loves a cookie. And so they gave everyone 10 cookies and say, oh. And some of them said, "Oh, yeah, we gave you too many. A lot of people are wanting them right now. You can only have 2. People rated them higher. They liked them more. They were mad that you took them away. Versus if you just say, "Oh, we've got plenty to go around," that changes the game. What are some other examples? Airlines that hold your seat for 24 hours informing you that these seats could sell out. I mean, you think about Orbitz and Travelocity. What changed the game for them? Do you know what it was? The last seat left at this price. Now, I want to say they go up 10 cents at a time. I don't know for sure. But when they say last seat left at this price, you want it more. There's a reason to purchase it. Or Hotels.com. Oh, hey, 10 people are looking at this hotel at the same time. Whoa. Scarcity, urgency. That's why they do it. Special invitation-only sales, exclusive one-time offers. We talked about qualifying for loans that you have to persuade them to do business with you. Limited number of spots on a committee. Waiting list for new customers. Only selecting 10 for a new training program can all create urgency. Even with juries revealing that secret information, you've heard the judge, you see the shows before, the judge, disregard that information. We found that they do that on purpose. Lawyers, they want people to say that because when they say, don't listen to that, don't regard that, don't put that into your decision, damages went up 40% when they said, disregard that information because they regarded it more. So how can you use this? You have to have a deadline, okay? You can't say, get back to whatever you can. No, there needs to be a deadline, a date, a time. That's so important for you to understand to be able to do that, a deadline. Hey, and give them a reason, right? Well, because of the supply chain, because of this, because of that, I can make this good for 2 weeks. You have to have a deadline or the brain does not make a decision. You have to have a deadline when you're working with people. Let them know the why, the reasons behind it. Deadlines are critical in any form of persuasion. The next one, limited space, limited numbers. I can only take 3 people. Let's see if you qualify. That's all part of this process. Like, I'll take anybody. No. If you're especially in a coaching business or working with people or in training, let them know that you're busy, that you only accept so many clients and customers. There is a limited amount. And of course, let them know why. That increases scarcity. The potential loss, that FOMO, right? That fear of missing out, is important. If they don't do it, they're not going to get it. It's not going to happen. They're not going to get the deal. It's going to go away. That's how we make decisions. That's how important that is. Next one, restricting freedom. Yeah, I don't know if this is appropriate for you. I don't think this is for you. I don't think you're smart enough. I don't think you qualify. Any of those could be part of that process to say, hey, no, I don't think so. Let me put you on the waiting list. There's such a high demand right now that can create that scarcity, that urgency, that psychological reactance. Interesting study that was done with this company that was selling beef to restaurants, right? Pretty simple thing. They just went through their normal Routine. Look how many sales they had. Great. When they said, oh, beef's going to be in short supply, that doubled their sales. Here's what's interesting. They said, hey, nobody knows this. This is a secret. Remember we're talking about secrets? Beef's going to be in short supply. It went up 6 times. Reactants, scarcity, urgency, make it happen. So what can you do to have a limited quantity? It's one of a kind. A lost opportunity. It's more valuable now than later. Creating scarcity, limited space, hard to find, once in a lifetime, now or it's gone forever. Could all be ways to increase that scarcity and that urgency. Now let's do some examples. First one, selling raffle tickets. Okay, whatever, I'll do it later. No, maybe what they're going to win is unlimited supply. Maybe it's a rare car. The raffle starts tomorrow at noon. There's only 10 tickets left. Changes the game. Another one? If I was trying to get volunteers for a committee? No, I don't know. No. Hey, let's see if you qualify. There's only 5 spots. Right, you can create it. Let's see if you are smart enough. I don't know if you go there, but those are the type of things to create that urgency. So how do you make this happen? First thing is, it has to be believable. We always tell the truth, but it has to be believable. They have to feel like they have the freedom to make the choice, that you're not backing them into a corner. And they always know they have alternatives. They can go other places. Make it real. Make it legitimate. Tell them the why. That's the key with persuasion, influence, and scarcity. So here's a case study. I was working with a martial arts studio, and they were concerned with their ability to persuade call-ins to come into their studio to see the benefits of their service. They would advertise a specific class that was the most profitable. Potential client would call in and they would answer all their questions, let them know all the times, and that there was plenty of room in the classes. In reality, the classes would fill up. Everyone was told they were welcome to the studio and they could come by at any time to see their options. Only a small percent of these call-ins would actually show up to the studio. Using the law of scarcity, how do we help them increase their business? It's all about scarcity, urgency. This doubled what they did when they say, oh, well, let me ask you a few questions. Let me see if your son or daughter qualifies. This is a new class. It fills up fast, right? Let's see what we can do. When people feel that they might not get it, they might not fit in, they won't qualify, the classes will fill up, they want it more. So let's talk about your homework. So be more conscious of creating that urgency. And whenever you create urgency, let me share a little secret with you. Buffer that with some type of reward. That works well for most people. Like, what do you mean? Pretty simple. Hey, you know, the sale ends today, but if you can get the cell phone today, I'll give you an extra gig of data, right? With a reward. You know, if you can make a decision by Tuesday, that's the deadline, that's the scarcity. I can double this, I can add this, we can do this. So buffer that scarcity. Let them know the why. All right, this is why there's scarcity, there's urgency, there's not enough room. This is why it's only good for 2 weeks. And look, if you can do it in 2 weeks, buffer with some type of reward, some type of incentive. That's the game changer. That's what makes the big difference. Scarcity and urgency is critical. It makes a huge difference. Give them a reason to make a decision. If they have time to make a decision, they'll take all the time in the world. But if you give them a reason to make a decision that day, it helps you out, but also helps them out. Because I don't know. Get them to make a decision. It makes a huge difference in your success and your sales and your persuasion and what you do. So create more scarcity, urgency, psychological reactions, takeaway, whatever you want to call it, right? You've heard the takeaway before. I don't know. This is probably not appropriate for you. People want it more. Apply scarcity, become more persuasive, and change the game.
Thanks, Kurt. We love when Kurt jumps on with us. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back when we come back to our next section.